Welcome to the return of the Power of J-Skull.
If you haven't heard that, that is correct. We are back, guys, after being off for a few weeks in our brand new home. Things were a little bit different. We had a little bit of a redesign, but we're the same old show. And it is great to be back with you tonight, Jason, to be able to talk about some more He-Man.
I feel like it's like Nimona says, not talking about He-Man is like having an itch you can't scratch, and I'm here to scratch it.
Absolutely. And we're getting into pretty new territory for us, mate. We've kind of been touching on this, but we're actually tonight going to be talking about 3 episodes of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, the 2021 Netflix series that unfortunately just came to an end, correct?
Yes, it did, which I'm very disappointed in, but at least it had a strong ending, which ended on a cliffhanger.
Ouch, ouch. Well, I'll be really honest with you, Jace. I was avoiding the show for a long time. It didn't really grab me. I wasn't super interested in watching. I went, oh, this is not my He-Man. And thankfully you went, no, you need to watch it. You need to check it out. And I have, so.
You are not wrong, though. It is not your He-Man, and it's not my He-Man either. This is a He-Man for a new generation. And once you get it through your head that this He-Man, especially as a man pushing 50, whenever you get it through your head that this He-Man was not made for you and was never made for you, it becomes rather enjoyable because you appreciate it for what it is. And it's a brand new, fresh take that is both respectful and brave.
Well, I will admit, Jace, it took me about 4 episodes to shake that. And I have shaken that now and have found a lot of strengths in the show early on that I really like, and I don't think there are some things I don't like, but there is a lot to like in the series. And let's get stuck into it. What do you say, Jason?
Let's do it.
Talk about episode 5, season 1 of He-Man and Master Universe, which is called We Have the Power.
The power is ours, it's in us, so whoa.
Yeah.
Makes me want to hurl.
I don't like the theme.
I don't like the theme either.
No, it's up there with Star Trek Enterprise theme.
The thing is, though, just like Star Trek Enterprise, whenever you're by yourself in your car driving, you find yourself going, we fight for the win, yo. We fight for the win. You're no.
No,
I hate that it's catchy.
This is a Teela-centric episode in many ways, isn't it? It's really at the core of it.
Yes, and she asks a lot of fundamental questions in this episode that, quite honestly, I didn't really consider, because the whole idea of destiny versus free choice and how that would mess with a person.
And the whole fact of, if you haven't been watching it, it's complete. All the characters are redesigned here, pretty much.
Redesigned,
and not
combined.
Just from
it's great.
Not from a physical standpoint, yes, they're redesigned, but essentially who they are as characters. It's quite different, I think. And Teela being one of them, she becomes a very pivotal character in this interpretation of He-Man and the Master of the Universe. Very powerful character.
Yes, they've basically smushed her and the Sorceress together. Mm-hmm. And have come up with a character who is very pragmatic in the way that she approaches things. She asks a lot of questions, and she's very, what's the word I'm looking for? She's very proactive without being annoying. She is, because sometimes a proactive character can be annoying. She's proactive in very logical ways, and I appreciate that about this new Teela.
Look, there's a lot to appreciate about her, and the fact that she's lost as a character, and she's trying to figure out what her connection is to the Sorcerer Grayskull, because at this point she really doesn't know what the deal is, what's going on, and that must be horrible.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Skeletor. And you know what? They do bounce, even though we know him as Skeletor. It's really Keldor that they mention more, isn't it, throughout this?
Well, if you know the guy your entire life, it's hard to call them a different name. Like, I want to be called Jasonor. No, we're not doing that. You're
Yeah.
joking. Yeah, sorry,
Especially when you're at
Keldor.
the DMV, they get real picky about
Oh
it.
yeah.
So, Skeletor uses his Havoc powers, and I like they've kind of given a name to his magic, and
Yes.
it's called Havoc, and it's the green goo. Pretty
Yeah.
well much.
Well,
isn't it?
in the original series, Skeletor's weapon was called the Havoc Staff. So they're
Mm.
actually being very true to the original series in this one.
But they've widened the scope of what
Yes,
Havoc
they've
is.
they've
now.
taken that one little word and they have opened up this whole new door. And I really like how sparingly Skeletor is used in this first season, because quite honestly, he appears in the very first part of this first episode, and then you don't see him again throughout these 3 episodes that we're covering. He does not appear. But whenever
When we
he
do
does,
see him, though, we
yeah.
must mention what is he doing at the time.
I think he's recovering at this time.
He's having a bath.
He's having a bath. And I also have to say the lighting where Skeletor is concerned is fantastic, because he has this dynamic lighting on his face where this green light just seems to just cover him even though it has no source. But
Yeah.
the eyes also glow a different color and they reflect off his cheekbones. So
Wow.
if you get, right there, look at that.
Right there.
It's like, where is that green light coming from? And the light off of his eyes are on his cheekbones. It just looks so good.
Well, the reason he's really concerned there, Jason, is he laid a pretty bad pun, and they weren't laughing quick enough.
Well, that's just.
I did
Skeletor,
like
though.
the background. You've got Trapjaw going, yep, okay,
He's gonna kill us all.
we're toast. Or Kronos. Really
Yeah,
should be
Kronos.
named.
Yeah, Kronos and
Kronos.
Evelyn at this point.
Evelyn.
I don't think that they've
Evelyn.
got their
They haven't
bad
quite
guy
there yet.
names.
No, they're not.
That
quite
is one thing I do like.
Behind you,
Is
bit
that
of an
there's
adult joke
evolution.
in that scene.
Oh yeah,
Do you know
Yeah,
when it
there
gets
was a-
out?
yeah, and they're just like, oh, ugh. I guess that answers the question we were wondering though a couple of months ago.
That's true. That has been made canon now, let's say.
We okay. We were wondering if Skeletor was packing, and apparently
Yeah.
he is.
Now, we do get some familiar characters in this episode, but a reinterpretation of the Skeletal Warriors, the Skeleton Warriors from
Oh,
what are the
yes.
names again?
The Skeleton Warriors?
What are they called in the original series? The ones where you can bring his undead army.
They were called Skeleton Warriors.
Oh, is that what they were called?
Yeah,
So I got it right. There you
I
go.
was, what do you mean? What are
Were
they called?
branded
They're called
different?
Skeleton.
No, that's
Yeah,
right.
you know, the
But they
bone
make-
guy. What's he called? Skeletor? No. In the original series, what's he called? Skeletor.
That's all. Well, we have a reinterpretation because it's that idea, but now we're getting them in the form of beasts.
Yes.
Very cool looking beasts.
They
mind you.
are very neat. I like how it's that havoc energy, and then there's almost like skin and bones laid on top of them. It is a very cool reinterpretation of the Skeleton Warriors. who
They
glowed
use them
green, by
better
the way.
too. They use
Yes.
them better because they take advantage of. I mean, we got that in the original series when you'd strike one down, they'd come back.
Just
But
like
here
Obi-Wan.
they feel far more threatening.
Yeah, I like the Beast Ganon mode of these things. I do
Yes.
enjoy that.
Yeah, very much. Very much.
There's many places in this series where it goes extra, and at
Mm.
first you're just like, really, and then as you see it in action, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it.
Oh no, absolutely.
Speaking of extra, look at that sword.
Yeah,
That sword is
honestly,
crazy.
Yeah, he's not missing arm day for sure. He's got to be working out
Oh,
constantly.
that's nothing to He-Man though. That's just like that's a paper clip. That's a letter opener to him.
You know what I am finding with this series early on, Jason? There's not a lot to these plots. They actually keep the plots very simple,
They
and
do.
it's obviously each episode is part of a larger mosaic.
Yes.
Story.
I've said this before, but this interpretation of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe is very methodical in the way that it world builds and in the way that it uses characters, because every character is on the show for a reason, because they have a mirror in the evil master's side. And right now we're in what I like to call the evolution phase of the show, because not everybody's there yet. but they are on their way. And
we're getting echoes of what? Well,
yes,
not echoes, but little nuggets to say, look, this stuff's coming up.
yes, and I really appreciate how much care went into this show, because this could have been something simple that was done just to exploit a property people had affection for, but they thought, no, we're going to do something different. We're going to do something, and it's brave, because we know, based on the reception that Revelations got, we know that the fan base does not like things that doesn't go the way that they think it should go. So they went their own
Crazy.
way with this, and I appreciate the fact that they went in kind of a Shazam, uh, Pokemon kind of way with this show, because there
Yeah.
is a lot of Pokemon influence and a lot of influence that was brought in from Shazam, sharing the power and things like that.
Yeah, which I was really against early on when I first kind of saw it, but I'm with it now. I'm okay with it. But the plot, even though it's simple, the plot from Skeletor's point of view is to send those monsters out to distract the good guys while they go and try to kidnap a General Dolos, I believe.
Yes.
So then Kronos can impersonate him to get the mineral in this show, which is called Carbonite, which is going to help Skeletor with his magic power. It's the metal that the Sword of Power is made from as well. So,
yes, which to me, I thought that's a pretty good plot. It's very simple.
very simple. Both got a bit of clear. Well, the bad guys have the real plot here. The good guys are really just reacting to what's going on.
Yeah.
The only one really of substance is Teela trying to connect with the sorceress and trying to find her place. So
Yeah, and like I said, this is a Teela who's very proactive and who is asking some very philosophical questions that I think probably would have gone over a lot of people's heads. I know if she had never vocalized them, it would have gone over my head too. Because learning you've got a destiny is one of those things like, well, is this all I have now? Or can I live a life that I want to live? Great questions.
And
Asked
I
in a
thought the
very
sorceress had a
intelligent
good
way.
answer.
Yes.
And said, yes, if you make the same mistakes I made.
Yeah, I
your
love
journey's
that.
your own.
I love that. And we get these great things that happen along the way. The characterization on the show is wonderful. Right now we're in the world and character building phase. There's this one particular part whenever the general gets kidnapped, whenever the door is ripped open and you see all these soldiers, and one of them goes,
Yeah, I did. That's
oh,
great.
what a random, hilarious thing to do. And I laughed out loud. I thought it was hilarious. So I love the sense of humor on this show too.
It's got really good. It's a weird thing to say, energy. This show. It's got a really good energy.
It does have a good energy, and it's colorful. The animation is beautiful. My godson's staying with me right now, and he watched these episodes with me, and he said, "This looks really good. It's like a video game, but it's just beautiful, and it really is. The animation in this series is terrific, and I love the blending of 3D animation with 2D effects like fire and smoke and all that stuff.
That's
so cool.
a great point, because they only use the TD. They only use.
This is a kids show. Watch out.
Yeah, they're only using the animation style, the 2D stuff, for explosions, fire, effects when they're sliding dust and things like that.
It looks so
it's a beautiful
good.
touch.
Yeah.
Yes. It does not take away from anything else. It enhances it.
Yes, it's very comic booky, and I like that.
Yeah. So a great episode, I thought. I thought it was good. Teela now knows what she needs to do or what her role is. Well, not completely, but she at least knows something now.
You have a feeling they're at least on their way.
They're on their way, correct.
Yes.
That's probably a better way to put it, for sure. So I really kind of dug it, and I like the end of it. I like the fact the bad guys accomplished their mission, Jason.
Yes.
We had bad guys winning this episode.
I just wanted to see Skeletor go, wait, you mean we won? That's never happened before. What the hell?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
And, for the end of it, we get Kronos, who is now going to be taking the place of General Dolos.
Yes, he's gone all changeling.
And the
Wallace.
thing about this episode is we set up what the aim is, but we don't actually. They win the battle, but they haven't won the war yet because they still
they
need
haven't.
to now go and steal the steal the Carbonite.
Carbonite, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So
That's
great
what
episode.
they make vacuum cleaners out of too.
Well done. Next episode,
Thank you. I'm
Chase.
proud
Let's
of
get
that
into the
one.
next episode.
Oh, Orko the Great, which
Orko-
is, in my opinion, one of the most creative ways I've ever seen to reimagine a character. And it was, you don't even realize this until you watch it through, until you watch the series second time through, like I'm doing right now, how they showed that Orko was coming back throughout these first couple of episodes.
They set it up.
They set it up, and even, you're looking at the, wait a second, the ORKO, the KO, the arcade droids. Oh my gosh, it was Orko all along.
That's the twist here, though, Jace. He's not Orko.
No, he's on his way though.
Thinks he's Orko, so which is great. And the robot in the library with the fire.
Love the way this character looks.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's
hold on. Here. I love.
How can I say there were poignant moments from that Orko? And there are a couple of there's a real poignant moment in this episode coming from a little floating robot, and I thought it was wonderful. But ideally, I think it's a great origin. Origin.
It's a re-origin, which I think is amazing.
And it is, and my instinct initially is to reject the concept because I love Orko, but it's hard not to embrace it when it's portrayed this well.
I'm the same way. It was so hard not to like this version of Orko because, despite the fact, completely different origin, not really Orko, this is Orko. This is Orko just back in a new form. And the fact that they brought him back as a robot with no real powers was outstanding. And even the costume, I love that costume.
Looks so good, doesn't it?
It really does.
The fact early on
hit it out of the park with his character design.
And the fact that early on he mistakes his technological powers for magic, I thought was nice
because technology can pretty much mimic magic, and I just think that's so clever. This is an episode for people who love Orko and for people who hate Orko, because it just reinforces your love of the guy, but at the same time it shows all the flaws and this bumbling idiot who's like ruining everything.
Exactly. But meanwhile, at the same time, we have Kronos, who is now disguised as, who's camouflaging himself as the general to break into the castle. We get those nice little convergence about 10 minutes into the episode of that plot line and what's happened with Orko when they meet up.
Which was very clever way to have the two plot lines smash into each other, I thought.
Exactly.
Because Kronos is just devilishly clever here, and he just does it like, yeah, I planned this. It's fine. I just love his attitude because he's so cool. He is. Who would have thought Trapjaw would ever be cool? But he is. He's cool.
He is cool. He's the smartest one in the room, the most balanced one in the room most of the time, what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
And what we get from it, he turns Orko the Great into what? Basically a hate. Now, a pawn for them.
He's turned him into a distraction just to smash things up. And oh my gosh. And it's done in such an Orko way.
It is done in such an Orko way. And it's great because that thing was pretty scary.
It was, but you got to admit, when Man-at-Arms activates his power and goes to work and that silly song starts playing as he's going through everything in slow motion, that was peak hilarity.
It was pretty.
They knew to kept everything light, and you got
even that bit when He-Man gets the butt of the sword smashed against his face.
Rosenstein and Guildenstern. I don't know their name. That's just what I'm calling them. The two guards who are always around.
That's pretty accurate who they are, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so much fun just to see these two guys, just these two nameless soldiers going, Rosenstein, we just need to leave and never speak of this again. I just think it's great.
It is. And my favorite episode so far has been Orko the Great. It really has. I thought
It's
it was
hard not to love
really
Orko.
strong.
I love Orko in all of his forms, and this is just the latest and the nicest.
Yeah.
I
Knowing,
like it.
you know, in a way, I'm like, to me, this is just a multiverse version of Eternia.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. All these
I don't
shows
feel
are
like the
going
show
on
in
at the same
any
time.
way delineates or tries to cancel out or replace anything
No.
from the past.
Listen,
And I think
okay.
that's where the genius of the show is.
I agree. If you hate this show, it doesn't mean that He-Man 83 or The New Adventures of He-Man
Or
or He-Man
2002.
2002 or Revelations doesn't exist and doesn't matter. They all matter. And if you hated Revelations, it doesn't mean that the other He-Man stopped existing. I like
You're
the
wrong,
idea.
but
Yeah, well, I agree. I think you're wrong as well, and I think you need to get over yourself. I'm sorry, women make great characters. I'm sorry that you have a problem with that. I'm still thinking of our dude who got mad and blocked us.
yes,
We're on a different channel now. You can see us again.
you can see us again. That's it.
But yeah, I love the idea that it's taking place in a multiverse where She-Ra and 2002 and Revelations and Netflix He-Man are all happening at the same time. I really hope, although I don't think it's ever going to happen, I think it's a too big of a hope. I really hope one day we see Masters of the Multiverse with all these properties coming together.
Did we
Mattel.
not have a really
Mattel.
sweet
Mattel.
2 years of having, well, 1 year of having Revelation, She-Ra Princess of Power,
Yes.
and this He-Man and Master Universe all playing at the same time on
It
Netflix?
was so fun. Yeah.
That was that slither of time, you know, which is crazy.
And I have a feeling it's going to happen again because
Yep.
of a certain movie you may have heard of. What was it's called? About a plastic girl
Best
with
film
an
of the
empty
year.
head. Barbie. Barbie. I have a feeling that thanks to Barbie, we're about to see a resurgence of Masters of the Universe. And
Well, the CEO's come
I think
out.
it's going to happen. Yeah.
The CEO has come out quite publicly on a couple of occasions to say how he sees the scope of the universe and what is capable. In fact, I don't know if they pulled this film adaptation because of the success of Barbie.
I would
I
be
think-
willing to bet money they did.
Yeah, because I'm thinking they're thinking, hey man, like we don't need to make a $60 million one. We could pour up a couple of $100 million into a He-Man film.
Who do you think Will
Let's hope
Ferrell's
that's
going to
the
play in
case.
this one?
Ah.
Man at Arms.
Will Ferrell will just play Will Ferrell, but I'd cast him as Man at Arms.
I would cast him as any character he wanted to. You know,
I
honestly,
could see him do the voice of Orko.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is I could see
Yeah.
him doing the voice of Orko, or either that, or Lord Business and Skeletor can join forces. Or Mugatu.
I don't want him to play this guy because this is one character I don't
Mugatu and
like
Lord
in the
Business
series.
can join forces. Yeah, forget.
I don't want him to be this guy because I do not like King Randor.
I don't want to
I
say.
don't
anything.
like it because it's a very one-note
I don't
kind of
wanna say anything.
miscommunication.
I'm not going to say anything
I'm not a fan at the moment, Jay, so I'm going to leave it at that, all right?
at the moment. At the moment.
Great
Yeah.
episode, though. Mint. Loved it.
Yes, very good.
If I was to show somebody who was a He-Man fan in my position who didn't want to watch it, I would actually recommend them to go watch the first episode and this episode because it's the first episode we would get Cringer's backstory. Is that one when we first see Cringer?
I think we first see Cringer in the first episode. Yeah, I don't think we get his backstory though.
No, we don't.
We don't get his
But either
backstory
way,
until the
first
next episode.
Orko the Great. We do get we get another version, but don't we get the one where that's how Adam and Cringer come? Was that an episode you kind of pulled out of the archives for us to watch?
It's the next episode is where we see He-Man, Adam and Cringer meet for the first time. It's in a flashback.
Yeah, isn't it the episode where he's kind of dismissed by his tribe though? It's called the Tribe, isn't it?
I don't know. See, now I'm confused.
Yeah, me too. But
My
you know
old-
what?
My
Hey,
old man brain is not.
that's the
working on
idea
me
of the
yet.
show: is to entertain and to confuse. Let's
Yes.
move it on. Let's move it on to the final episode that we're talking about. This one, and is He-Man the Hunted.
Yes.
Now, Orko the Great, I love that interpretation. about 17 minutes into this episode, the penny drops what we're getting in this episode of a new iteration of a classic character.
Absolutely.
How did you feel about that in particular?
Well, I assume we're talking about Rakaz, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I did not get that right away until he brought the whip out, and I was like, "Ugh, it's Beastman.
It's Beastman.
It's Beastman."
Which, what a twist, because we are programmed to be thinking about large physicality when we think of Beastman. Are we not? Every
We are,
iteration
yes.
up to this point has been this gigantic kind of beast, but we get a different type of beast. And
Yes. We do.
I don't know if I'm completely sold on it, but I love the look of it. It looked great. I mean, his design is pretty dope, you got to admit.
I'm just gonna say that this season of He-Man is all about the journey, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay.
Because it's
Okay.
not just the heroes who are on journeys in this season.
Ooh,
I
so-
rather liked Rakaz because to me he was an absolutely despicable character, and he was
Mm,
somebody that you definitely did not sympathize with, you did not empathize with. He was put in the show just to be the biggest jackass possible. I mean, he's a
Mm.
guy who exploits animals and puts them in fights. He's basically like somebody who trains a pit bull to fight.
they call him
if-
a
if the pit-
beastopoid poacher.
Yeah, if the pit bulls, were wise and had soothing voices. Gonna say again, this series has my absolute favorite version of Cringer. This is my favorite. I love
that opening.
I love this version of Cringer. I love the voice. I love the way that they've reinterpreted him as a wise parental figure. He's just somebody I want to hang out with.
Yeah, you feel safe.
You
with
do. He's a
him,
very
don't you?
safe character. He is safety, and I just love that. Especially this group of kids, I think they would have fell apart if it was not for Cringer.
You
And
know
his-
what? It's
and his battle
super
ca-
important to have that maturity there amongst that group, because
Yes,
that's what
and-
he brings to the table. Maturity.
Very much so. And whenever he turns into Battle Cat, he looks boss. He looks amazing.
I really like that Battle Cat now. First off, I was like, I don't know about that armor. Now watch the show. I'm like, that armor's awesome.
That armor is
I have
awesome.
to get myself a
and
Battle Cat.
they pose him in the coolest ways possible because he like does this look like that at one point. At one point, he puts his shoulders up and he's got his head down and he's like staring right at the camera.
Yeah, look at him.
Yeah, Beastman. Oh my gosh, Cringer is safe. Battle Cat is not.
No.
Battle Cat will mess you up to protect what is dear to
Mm.
him, and I just love him so much. I
Now,
want the
back
Battle Cat
to-
show.
Back to Rakaz. The fact that
I'm not talking about you. Go away.
he is basically mind. Well, he's brainwashing.
Yes.
Some of, and this was I thought sad. Cringe's family in a way.
Yes.
Because we have three tigers, Catra, Bash, and Prowler, who have all been taken over, and now are pretty evil,
Yeah, they've been branded,
and they've been branded.
which is also a great touch because he's got the brand on his whip, and so it's almost like he's just sizzled that into their forehead. I know that it's not an actual burn, but that's what I got was that he's branded them. And again, it's just despicable character. This character you just love to hate.
The emotionality of Cringer, who does not want to fight his family, and
Mhm.
takes an absolute hiding for a little bit of a chunk here because he doesn't want to fight. I thought was really kind of emotional. But we don't leave it there because I kind of mentioned in the last episode, and I meant this episode, the profound moment we get with Orko in this episode as well, where he they take him to a Trellios statue.
Yeah, Trollin.
A Trollin statue.
He looks nothing like me, and he's in the same pose. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, which was absolute because they're trying to figure out what to do with him. And it's in that moment, Jason, that he realizes that he's not what he thinks he is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I found that quite emotional. You know, he has to come to a level of acceptance.
It is kind of an ongoing theme through this season, are characters accepting who they are
You're pretty well right there.
and the power that they have.
Mm, mm. You know, at the end of the day, with this again, it's another short kind of snippet plot. You know, we don't put too much in there, but it's really effective. And I don't think it was my favorite episode of the three, but again, it's still really really strong. And even though not a lot happens, because you know Adam loses his sword for a bit, but you know Cringer helps get it back, and we all get to the same kind of resolution. But the strongest part was right at the end of this episode, where someone like myself, like, ooh, what's happening here? And I'm talking about Evelyn visiting a Rakaz
Yes.
and maybe making him an offer that he may not be able to refuse.
Perhaps.
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 So it's very leading in. So,
Yeah.
no, wonderful. It was around Cringer, wasn't it? And him, you know, trying to save his family in a way, even though that wasn't his mission. He kind of had to get to that point. We get some unbrainwashed. Yeah, I don't know what else more to say about this episode except
I'm going to disagree, actually, because I think that this episode was actually quite strong. Because to me, this was Cringer's therapy. He is a victim of trauma. He is a victim of abuse, and he has devoted his life basically to protect other people so they never have to go through that. And whenever he is confronted by that, and he's confronted by his fear that those that he loves are going to be subjected to the same torture that he was subjected to, I love the theme that he finds his own power, and he realizes he doesn't need to take power from someone else. He has it within himself to protect the ones that he loves. And I loved that this was the episode where the Masters found out they could transform on their own without He-Man's help. And I thought
that's a good point.
I thought that the musical score that accompanied Cringer's transformation, because usually it's this very techno dun, 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 but it was very heroic and somber as he transformed, and I just thought that's actually one of my favorite bits from the entire series. Is Cringer transforming on his own.
Well, I will say the transformation is so much better than having the filmation. Yeah, which is always was like, come on. You know, yeah, that's a very good point, Jace. Look, at the end of the day, even the one who I didn't think was the strongest episode for me, this is hitting a higher bar than I expected. I expected the show to be like this. So far, we're getting this.
Yes.
So I'm pleasantly surprised overall of where we're headed for a show that I wasn't, as I said, super, super excited about watching.
You know, I'm right there with you. My expectations for this series was rather low. I don't even think I watched it whenever it first came out. I think I waited a couple of weeks before watching it. But whenever I did, I was very pleasantly surprised. And yeah, I'm going to say again, Gen X, this show was not made for us, but it's still quality.
Good storytelling is good storytelling, though, Jason.
Yes.
And I think smart ones of us in our generation will quickly realize that and quickly, hopefully, embrace just a new form of storytelling. She-Ra and the Princess of Power did that for me, mate. That shook me out of any expectations I had on that universe and that character were completely washed away. So I thank that series for now me being far more open-minded to new content coming down the way. But if, you know what, you're talking about He-Man fans, let me just throw this there. If they're not happy with Revelation, they're not happy with this, and most of the guys probably haven't even watched She-Ra, what would they be happy with? Old Filmation?
Old Filmation. But
if they did that, they'd go, oh, look how cheap it looks.
Yeah, there's a certain pie of every fan base, and I'm going to say right now, I am not saying this about the entire He-Man fan base at all. I'm saying that there is a small sliver of every fan base who are both miserable and vocal. And I do believe that they're a minority. It's just they're a very loud minority.
Well, what it is, it's okay to have criticism. That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do. But criticism has to also come with, if you're not finding joy in any of this, then why even talk about it? Why are you wasting your time watching it if nothing in the franchise is satisfying you?
Yeah,
You must
have
find
no
joy
idea.
out of it.
I have no
if you
idea.
don't like a new show, go back and watch. They're free on YouTube. You can go back watch the entire He-Man series.
And they're a
every
ton
episode.
of fun. They are a ton of fun, and I love every single episode almost. Almost.
Ahsoka is a good show, a good example of a show where they're taking existing franchise and they're trying to carve a new pathway for it. And I think even though it's all interconnected and all that kind of thing, but with He-Man, the fact that they're trying to carve a new pathway for the franchise means it's healthy, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
don't you think things that are not healthy or are hitting stagnant are them just repeating same stuff they did again and again?
Yeah, listen, you're not going to take a 40-year-old franchise and keep it alive by doing the same things you did 40 years ago. I mean, let's face it,
right?
we almost lost Star Trek because of that, because they did the same thing for almost 15 years, and the target demographic, your audience, does not get any younger if you do that. They continue to age out, and Star Trek did not have a resurgence until J.J. Abrams came along and Alex Kurtzman came along, and the old fans are just cursing their name every chance they get. But but Trek is around right now because of these people, and it's the same thing with He-Man. He-Man is still in the cultural zeitgeist because of Revelations and because of this series. You have got to try new things. You've got to try for new audiences, or your property dies. That's the simple truth of it right there.
Couldn't say it better myself. Absolutely perfect. Well, guys, we're going to be back on the next Power of J Skull with 8, 9, 10. Is that
8, 9, 10? 8, 9, 10.
And I think that closes out the series. So
I think it closes out the first season. Yeah. So
not the series, the season. Yeah. So that's Calm Before the Storm, Cry Havoc Part 1, and Cry Havoc Part 2.
I see what they did there. Cry Havoc.
Havoc. The Calm Before the Storm. Well, yeah, that's your penultimate. And Cry. Yeah. Oh, Cry Havoc. Okay, Cry Havoc, you can read between the lines. Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. I don't want to know until I watch the episodes.
Yep. I won't say a thing.
Guys, if you enjoy Master Universe as much as we do and you enjoy our show, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. We don't live in a bubble here. We want to communicate with all these He-Man fans out there. Let us know what you think. Maybe you've got a different opinion of us. Put it in there. If you agree with us, put it in there. We want to hear from you. And we hope you're enjoying the Power of J Skull, our new home on the Jason Roy Gaston channel. I'm VHS Chase. That is Jason Roy Gaston. And as per tradition on the Power of J Skull, Jason, please sign us out.
You have been watching The Power of J Skull.